15 mysterious places scientists still can't explain. What if I told you that right now, somewhere on this planet, lightning strikes the same lake almost every single night of the year? Or that a forest exists where every single tree grows in a bizarre, twisted, almost supernatural shape? Or that ancient people carved hundreds of massive figures into a desert floor, figures so enormous that they can only truly be seen from the sky, thousands of years before humans ever learned to fly? We live in an age where science has answered so many of the universe's great questions. We've mapped the ocean floor, cracked the human genome, and sent rovers to explore the surface of Mars. And yet, scattered across this world and beyond it, there are places and phenomena that continue to completely baffle the best scientific minds on the planet. Today, we're counting down 15 of the most mysterious places that science still cannot fully explain. Let's get into it. Number 15, Lake Maracaibo, Venezuela. Tucked in the northwestern corner of Venezuela is Lake Maracaibo, and at first glance, it looks like an ordinary tropical lake. But when the sun goes down, something extraordinary begins. Almost every single night, the sky above the lake explodes in a relentless, almost rhythmic display of lightning. This phenomenon is called Catatumbo lightning, and locals have known about it for centuries. They call it the everlasting storm. The numbers alone are staggering. The lake can experience up to 1 million lightning bolts per year. Storms rage for up to 10 hours a night across 140 to 160 nights annually. For as far back as recorded history goes, sailors navigated the treacherous Venezuelan coastline using this lightning as a natural lighthouse. It is one of the most reliable and dramatic natural phenomena on Earth. So what causes it? Scientists believe it has to do with the unique geography of the region. Warm, moisture-heavy air blowing in from the Caribbean collides with cold air descending from the Andes Mountains, and the lake's particular shape and topography creates the ideal conditions for electrical storms. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone agrees that's enough to explain it. Some researchers believe underground oil reserves and rare mineral deposits beneath the lakebed may also be contributing to the frequency and intensity of the storms. The debate is very much ongoing, and the everlasting storm continues to light up the Venezuelan night sky. Number 14, the Chocolate Hills, Philippines. On the island of Bohol in the Philippines, there are roughly 1,776 nearly identical cone-shaped hills rising from a flat, lush landscape. During the dry season, the grass that covers them turns a rich brown color, and from a distance, the whole scene looks like an enormous box of chocolates, which is exactly how they got their name. Geologists explain that they were formed over millions of years through the weathering and erosion of limestone, combined with the uplift of ancient coral deposits from a seafloor that no longer exists. But scientists haven't been able to fully account for their remarkably uniform shape, their sheer number, and, perhaps most puzzling of all, why they haven't simply eroded away by now. There's a legend, of course. A giant named Arogo fell hopelessly in love with a mortal woman. When she died, he wept for so long and so hard that his tears collected and dried in the sun, forming the hills. It's a beautiful story, and honestly, standing before those 1,776 identical hills, the legend somehow feels more intuitive than the science. Number 13, the Zone of Silence, Mexico. Deep in the Chihuahuan Desert of the Mexican state of Durango lies a remote stretch of arid land covering roughly 1,500 square miles. On the surface, it looks like nothing more than rugged desert terrain, rock formations, sparse vegetation, extreme heat. But travelers and researchers who venture into this region consistently report the same strange experience. Their radio equipment goes completely dead. No signal. Total silence. This is the Zone of Silence, or La Zona del Silencio, and the electromagnetic disturbances here have been documented for decades. The most widely accepted theory points to unusually high concentrations of magnetic minerals and metals in the soil and rock, which may be interfering with radio frequencies, but some incidents go well beyond radio disruption. There have been credible reports of glowing objects moving through the sky above the zone. In the 1970s, a US Air Force missile test went badly off course and crashed directly into the zone, an event that has fueled speculation ever since. No one can fully explain it, and the zone remains one of the most intriguing and least understood locations on the planet. Number 12. The Dancing Forest, Russia. On the Curonian Spit, a narrow strip of land separating the Baltic Sea from the Curonian Lagoon on the Russian-Lithuanian border, there is a forest that seems to have forgotten the rules of nature. Every tree within it is a pine, and pine trees are supposed to grow tall and perfectly straight. These do not. These trees spiral, they loop, they twist in on themselves, bend sideways, grow in full circles, and contort into shapes that look less like trees and more like abstract sculptures. The accepted scientific explanation involves the strong coastal winds that batter the spit and the unstable, shifting sandy soil beneath the trees. But here's the problem with that theory. If it were simply the wind and soil, all the trees should be deformed in roughly the same way. They're not. Each tree has its own unique, individual shape. Scientists have also looked at insect larvae, which can damage the growing tips of young trees and cause irregular growth. But that theory doesn't hold up across the entire forest either. The dancing forest remains unexplained, and frankly, it looks like something out of a dark fairy tale. Number 11. The Devil's Kettle, Minnesota. In Judge C.R. Magny State Park in Minnesota, the Brule River flows through dense forest before reaching a waterfall, but just before the water goes over the falls, something strange happens. The river splits in two. Half continues over the waterfall and carries on downstream, as rivers are supposed to do. The other half disappears. It drops into a massive, deep hole in the bedrock, the Devil's Kettle, and vanishes completely. For decades, people have tried to figure out where that water goes. Researchers have poured bright dye into the kettle to trace its path. They've dropped GPS trackers, ping pong balls, and logs. None of it has ever resurfaced anywhere. The water itself clearly returns eventually. The river flow increases noticeably downstream from the falls, but the exact underground route it takes remains completely unknown. There are no mapped caves, no known tunnels. The water just disappears. Even with modern technology, no one has been able to map the route it takes or find where it re-enters the river. Number 10. Al-Nazla Rock, Saudi Arabia. In the deserts of Saudi Arabia, not far from the ancient Tema oasis, stands a massive boulder of sandstone. It is roughly 20 feet tall and 30 feet wide, and it sits perfectly balanced on two small pedestals of rock. That alone would be unusual. But what makes Al-Nazla truly extraordinary is the split running perfectly through its center. The two halves of the rock are divided by a gap so precise, so smooth, and so symmetrical that it looks like it was cut by a machine. Geologists say this was caused by natural forces, tectonic stress, erosion, and the gradual fracturing of sandstone along natural fault lines over millions of years. But the sheer precision of that cut continues to trouble people. The gap is nearly perfectly vertical. The surfaces on each side are extraordinarily smooth. Many visitors who see it in person find it genuinely difficult to accept that no human hand was involved. Al-Nazla remains balanced, poised, and unexplained. Number 9. Tabby's Star. This one isn't on Earth. About 1,400 light-years away, in the constellation Cygnus, there is a star officially cataloged as KIC 8462852, but known widely as Tabby's Star. When NASA's Kepler Space Telescope began monitoring it, astronomers noticed something they had never seen before. The star's brightness was dropping by up to 22% at irregular intervals. To put that in context, when Jupiter passes in front of our own sun, the light dip is around 1%. A 22% dip is enormous. It implies something truly massive is periodically blocking the star's light. The theories ranged from enormous swarms of comets to massive asteroid belts to, most intriguingly, a Dyson sphere, a theoretical megastructure built by an advanced alien civilization to harvest a star's energy. The alien hypothesis has mostly been set aside, but the scientific debate continues. The current leading explanation is a cloud of dust and fragmented debris orbiting the star, but the exact origin and composition of that material remains uncertain. Tabby's star is one of the most genuinely mysterious objects ever observed in our galaxy. Number 8. The Richat structure, Mauritania from space. It looks like a giant eye staring up from the Sahara Desert. The Richat structure in Mauritania, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, is a circular geological formation roughly 25 miles across, made up of concentric rings of ancient rock. Standing on the ground inside it, you wouldn't even realize you were inside a structure at all. It's simply too vast to perceive at human scale. Scientists established that it wasn't a meteor crater, as was originally assumed. It's actually a deeply eroded geological dome, rock that was pushed upward by tectonic forces over millions of years, then worn down by erosion into its current bullseye shape. But the central depression in the middle, that's still causing disagreements. Recent research suggests it may have formed through volcanic and hydrothermal activity, followed by collapse. But this is yet to be definitively proven. The Eye of the Sahara is so striking and so Mars-like that NASA has actually explored it as a potential testing ground for Mars rovers. Number 7. The Sargasso Sea. Most seas are defined by the land surrounding them. The Sargasso Sea has no coastlines. It sits in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, bounded not by land, but by 4 powerful ocean currents that swirl around it, trapping everything inside in a slow, permanent gyre. Its waters are extraordinarily clear and deep blue, stretching across roughly 1.4 million square miles. Its most visible feature is a vast carpet of golden brown seaweed called sargassum, which creates a floating ecosystem unlike anywhere else on Earth. The Sargasso Sea serves as a breeding ground for American and European eels, which migrate thousands of miles to spawn there, their larvae drifting back on ocean currents to the coasts of 2 separate continents. It's a nursery for sea turtles, a habitat for dozens of unique species, and a critical component of the North Atlantic ecosystem. And yet, we don't fully understand how it formed, how it maintains itself, or what would happen if it were seriously disrupted. It also contains the North Atlantic Garbage Patch, a massive concentration of plastic pollution, making that scientific gap increasingly urgent. Number 6. Vodovara Mountain, Russia. Far into the remote Karelia region of northwestern Russia, there is a mountain, Vodovara, that reaches just over 400 meters above sea level. What makes it remarkable is what sits on top of it. The summit is covered in hundreds of enormous rocks, many of which are balanced on small stone pedestals in mushroom-like formations, some reaching nearly 9 meters tall. Some researchers believe these were crafted by ancient human communities who lived in the region thousands of years ago. Others argue that evidence points to natural formation, glacial pressure from the last ice age fracturing and shaping the rock over millennia, with softer material eroding away and leaving behind these strange balanced forms. Neither explanation is fully satisfying, and the debate continues. The local Karelian and Sami peoples have considered Vodovara sacred for generations, believing the stone formations to carry spiritual power. Looking at them, it's easy to understand why. Number 5. The Hessdalen Lights, Norway. In a remote valley in central Norway, something glows in the night sky. The Hessdalen Lights have been reported since at least the 1930s and have been documented consistently since the 1980s. They appear as orbs of light, sometimes white, sometimes red or yellow, hovering, drifting, or darting across the sky over the valley floor. They appear regularly, sometimes nightly, and they have been captured on camera, on radar, and by spectrographs. Scientists have monitored the valley extensively. The leading theories involve ionized gas generated by geological activity, or piezoelectric discharge from the valley's mineral-rich, shifting bedrock. Neither theory has been conclusively proven. What is certain is that the lights are real, they are consistent, and no one knows what they are. The Hessdalen Valley has become one of the most scientifically monitored locations for unexplained aerial phenomena in the world, and its lights continue to appear indifferent to all attempts at explanation. Number 4. The Devil's Sea, Pacific Ocean. Most people know the Bermuda Triangle. Far fewer know its Pacific equivalent. Located between Japan, Guam, and the Bonin Islands, the Devil's Sea, also called the Dragon's Triangle, has a long history of unexplained disappearances, magnetic anomalies, compass malfunctions, and strange lights. The most famous incident is the disappearance of the USS Cyclops in 1918. A massive U.S. Navy cargo ship carrying 309 crew members that vanished without sending a single distress signal. No wreckage, no explanation. Scientists point to unpredictable weather, typhoons, underwater volcanoes, and the proximity of the deepest ocean trench on Earth, the Mariana Trench, as possible contributing factors. These explanations account for some of the region's dangers. They don't account for all of them. Number 3. Saturn's hexagonal storm. At the North Pole of Saturn, there is a storm. That alone isn't unusual for a gas giant. What is unusual is its shape. The storm is a near-perfect hexagon, roughly 20,000 miles across, more than twice the diameter of Earth. It was first spotted by the Voyager spacecraft in the early 1980s and has been observed consistently ever since. It rotates, it persists, and it is shaped like a hexagon. The leading theory suggests Saturn's powerful jet streams interact with the planet's rotation in a way that produces a stable six-sided wave pattern. Laboratory experiments with rotating fluids have actually produced similar polygonal shapes, lending some support to this idea. But it hasn't been definitively proven, and the storm's range of colors, from deep blue at the center to gold and beige at the outer bands, adds further layers of mystery. Saturn's hexagon remains one of the most visually striking and scientifically puzzling features in the entire solar system. Number 2. The Taos Hum, New Mexico. Some of the residents of Taos, New Mexico hear a sound. It's low, persistent, and impossible to locate, described as something like a distant diesel engine idling or a subwoofer playing just below the threshold of discomfort. It causes headaches, disrupts sleep, and creates a low-level, unrelenting sense of unease in the people who hear it. It has been reported consistently since the early 1990s. The strange thing, beyond the sound itself, is that not everyone hears it. Only a fraction of Taos residents report experiencing the hum, and even those who do cannot pinpoint a direction or a source. Scientists and government investigators have conducted noise studies, acoustic measurements, and extensive field research. Industrial equipment, mining operations, and military activities have all been investigated and ruled out. Natural explanations like seismic activity or underground fluid movement have been explored. Psychological explanations have been considered. None of them has produced a satisfying answer. For the people who hear it, the hum is very real, and it remains unexplained. Number 1, the Nazca Lines, Peru. And finally, the most famous mystery on our list. In the arid coastal desert of southern Peru, between roughly 200 BCE and 600 CE, the Nazca people created something extraordinary. They cleared away the reddish-brown, iron-rich pebbles covering the desert floor, exposing the lighter rock beneath, and in doing so created hundreds of enormous figures. A spider, a hummingbird, a monkey, a condor, a humanoid figure that some have called the astronaut. The largest of these figures stretch for hundreds of meters across the desert floor. The figures have been remarkably preserved by the region's extreme aridity and stable climate for over 1,000 years. And they are beautiful, intricate, and precise. The Nazca people clearly had sophisticated understanding of geometry and planning. Scholars debate their purpose endlessly: religious ceremony, astronomical calendar, irrigation ritual, communication with the gods. No consensus has been reached. But here is what is truly strange. These figures, these massive, breathtaking works, are essentially invisible from the ground. You can walk across them and not realize what you're standing inside. They only reveal their true form when seen from the air. And the Nazca people, as far as we know, had no way to get airborne, no hot air balloons, no aircraft, no elevated vantage point that would have allowed them to see what they were making. How did they conceive of these images? How did they plan and execute them at such scale, with such precision, with no way to step back and see the whole? And why create something so beautiful, so deliberately, that was never meant to be seen by human eyes? That question, perhaps more than any other on this list, is the one that lingers. Thanks for watching. If there's a mysterious place we missed, let us know in the comments below.